Alright, for those of you using the stats calculator for this section, the things that you're going to need to be able to do here are to compute the mean and standard deviations of probability distributions, and later on also calculate expected value. So let's begin with a probability distribution and find the mean and standard deviation of it. What we're going to do is take the values of the random variable x and put those into L1, and then the probabilities we'll put into a separate list, L2. So go into the list editor on the stats calculator and start entering those data values. So -4, 2, 1, 10, and 18. And then in L2, put your probabilities. Okay, once that data is in, then we just need to do some calculations based off of that data. So go back to the calc menu, and we need to get the single variable statistics based off of this. So click that button, single var stats, and then tell it where your data is. So we have values of our random variable in L1, comma, probabilities in L2. Then just press enter, and it will compute all of those values for you. Now, one thing that's notably strange is the value of S, this sample standard deviation, comes up as NaN. That stands for not a number in computing terms. So what's happened here is that the probabilities add up to 1. So we technically have a frequency of 1. When we compute a sample standard deviation, you're dividing by the sum of your frequencies, which in this case is 1, and then you subtract, you divide by 1 less than the sum of your frequencies. So we get division by 0. That's why that's happening. All right, so that's fine. We just don't use that value in this case. We use the mean, 6.3, and the population standard deviation of approximately 7.49. And that's great. Now, the other thing in this section is expected value. And in fact, there's nothing else to do here. So the mean of a probability distribution is its expected value. So what that tells us is if we have an example that asks for expected value instead, we know that all we would do is create a table of the different outcomes of the experiment, couple that with the probabilities, put those into L1 and L2, use one var stats, and then the sample mean is going to be our expected value. And then we're done.